Hey, what is up, spiritual hooligans? Look, if you are going to make things up, you might as well make things up that empower you. Enlightened perspectives empower you. And they empower you because they presume that all is well. And I have spent the last 10 years or so looking at what are the enlightened perspectives? What are the perspectives that when you adopt these things, your mind quiets down, your heart opens, you become more peaceful and joyous and loving and kind, and yet you're also pragmatic and practical and you take things on and you do the things that you want to do. I suspect that you are, without even realizing it, buying into and expressing unprovable statements that weaken you and cause your mind to talk and put you into fearful, fretful states. And today I want to continue my process. This will be the 9th Daily Enlightenment in a row where I talk about enlightened perspectives. And I'm looking forward to getting you into a place where your mind quiets down, you're at peace, and you can start living an epic life. My name is Matthew Ferry, and I'm bringing you your daily enlightenment. It's your moment to pause, to slow down, and to get connected to enlightened perspectives. I want to help you to quiet your mind and restore your peace. Peace of mind is a contextual framework, or it's the outcome, really, of a contextual framework. So when you know that everything is going to be okay, and when you feel like all is well, then you are at peace. And anything less than peace of mind is some survival framework that has entered into your consciousness, or you're expressing either out of habit or out of karma or whatever it is. And part of what I like to help people to do is to see things in an enlightened perspective and then use that perspective to be productive and effective and empowered. I don't think it's very satisfying, really, to be at peace and then not go and have a life. And that's what most of our predecessors who have been promoting enlightenment have been talking about. They've been essentially said, your job is to be at peace and then retreat, or go retreat from the world and then you can be at peace. And while that probably is what they needed to do back then, these days you and I are in an incredibly safe environment and we can be at peace and live an epic life. So I want to talk to you about some enlightened perspectives. And I started this daily enlightenment by saying, if you're going to make things up, you might as well make things up that feel good, that empower you. And I want you to know that it's not about right or wrong or good or bad. It's about feeling empowered. And the way that I am able to distinguish if something is empowering to you or not is through a methodology called muscle testing. And I muscle test if something strengthens you or if something weakens you. And when I do, I'm able to determine, is this a context, a framework, a thought process that you should continue to do, or should we recontextualize it? Should we change it around so that we can find out where the strength is? One of the things that we're going to do right now is talk about statements that we know with certainty will strengthen you. They strengthen every single person that we do it to. So let's just take these in. 1, align with, appreciate, and accept my problems as a current perspective and not a truth. Align with, appreciate, and accept my problems as a current perspective and not a truth. In other words, nothing is fixed unless you resist it. If you resist something, you fix it into place. If you accept it, if you appreciate it, if you get aligned with it, if you admit it, if you own it, then all of a sudden transformation is possible. But the idea of things being fixed is an illusion. It's only fixed because you keep ruminating on it the same way over and over and over and over. So you're fixing it by thinking about it in the same way, and specifically you're resisting it and activating your survival mind, and then your survival mind is going, I don't want that, 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 and you're keeping it in place. So accept, appreciate, align with, accept that your problems are a perspective and not the truth, and watch them transform. So this is an enlightened perspective. Here's number 2. Life isn't anything until you call it something. Life isn't anything until you call it something. I don't know if I've ever played you my song, It Ain't Nothing Till You Call It. Here's a beautiful crystal baseball that one of my clients gave me, and it says, It ain't nothing till you call it. And it comes from a story that I tell about three umpires. I'll tell you right now. Three umpires. You have a master umpire, and then you have a novice and an experienced guy. And the master umpire is giving these guys some brush up tips, lessons. Right? They're in the dugout, and the master umpire looks at these two guys and says, "All right, guys, how do you call a strike?" And the new guy just jumps right in and says, well, I look at the pitcher, and then I'm watching the ball, and I see where it comes, and then if it's in the strike zone, then I call it. And the master umpire shakes his head no, in disappointment. And the new guy's confused. What? And he looks over at the more experienced guy and says, what do you think? And he says, well, it's either in the strike zone or it's not. And the master umpire again shakes his head in disappointment. No. Now these guys are confused, but he looks down at his two students and he says, guys, the ball ain't nothing till you call it. And boom, instantaneously in that moment, they realized that they had the power and that the ball is what they say, period. And if you watch baseball, that is the truth, even though it may really piss you off because the umpire, whatever they say, that's it, period. And I want you to know that it's the same for you. It ain't nothing till you call it something. Your life ain't nothing till you call it something, and you get to decide. So if you're going to make things up, if you're going to call things something, why are you calling it things that degrade you? Why are you calling it things that put you into a negative state? Why are you calling it things that rob you of your personal power? Even science is simply the process of finding definitions and replicatable results that we can all agree upon. But even so, we're labeling the replicatable results. It isn't anything until we call it something. Gravity wasn't a thing until Newton called it something, and then once he called it something, he then began to define its properties and try to understand its predictability. You get to decide how you describe things, and how you describe things will create the reality you're living. The question is, can you learn to recontextualize, which is one of the 4 components of the rapid enlightenment process? Can you learn the master skill of describing the conditions and circumstances of your life in a way that create an empowering reality for you? It's not about putting your head in the sand. It's not about lying to yourself. It's not about you trying to fool yourself. It's actually finding the framework that at least has you be neutral. Because from neutral, you can problem solve to go into a more optimistic, empowered state. And at best, we want you to be optimistic and empowered, okay? Number 3, all is well. This is an enlightened perspective. All is well. In fact, enlightenment is just an expression of, or a context that leads you naturally to the conclusion that all is well. Now, I have no evidence about the state of the world, and neither do you. All I have are my interpretations. My survival mind is designed to find problems and to fix them, and so is yours. My survival mind is trying to improve my odds of survival by finding things that are wrong so that I can avoid them, quarantine them, or fix them. And so are yours. The problem is we're not in a survival state. You're trying to thrive. I'm trying to thrive. That's all that's happening here. But the mind cannot be relied upon to be a thriving mechanism. The mind, which I call the drunk monkey, is a survival machine. All is well. Number 4, destruction and creation are the same things, just at different places in the timeline. Destruction and creation. This tests strong on your body. When you say destruction and creation are the same things at different places in the timeline, your arm goes strong as a board. If you say destruction is bad, boom, there's nothing you can do to keep your arm up. Your arm is weakened. Your physiology is weakened by this. To admit that destruction and creation are the same thing is so empowering. Everything is moving in the direction of manifesting in greater and greater states of complexity and perfection on planet Earth at this moment, okay? There's also a giant torrent of destruction happening at the exact same time. But it is the combination of the destruction and the creation that is creating the life that you and I are living. It's this combination of what is being destroyed and what is being created that is creating the life that you want. If you want to change your life, for example, you have to destroy your old life in order to make room for your new life. It's just the way it works. Destruction and creation are the same thing. Therefore, number 5, the breakdown is the beginning of the breakthrough. That tests strong. The breakdown is the beginning of the breakthrough. So what I'm asking you to do is to celebrate the breakdown as an indicator that the breakthrough is coming. The breakdown is the beginning. When things break down, suddenly breakthroughs start to come through. Now, the speed at which the breakthrough comes, I've noticed, is related to the degree to which you can accept and appreciate the breakdown. The more you accept and appreciate the breakdown, the faster the breakthrough comes. The more you resist the breakdown, the longer it takes for it to transition. But the breakdown is transitioning into the breakthrough. They are the same thing. They're the same creative act. But the speed is related to acceptance and resistance. What you accept will transform, what you resist will persist. So these perspectives will bring you peace. But don't take my word for it. I want you to be a scientist, and I want you to test them for yourself, okay? And I want you to give me a report. In fact, I'd like to know what you think right now. Will you just leave me a comment? What is this making you think about? What insights are you having? How is this shifting your perspective? Leave me a comment. My name is Matthew Ferry, and I'm bringing you your daily enlightenment. It's your moment to pause, to slow down, and to get connected to enlightened perspectives. I'm doing it again. I did this the other day. I was actually doing the intro and the outro. But you know what? I'm just rolling with it. It is your moment to pause, to slow down, and to get connected with enlightened perspectives. And if that's been happening for you, then damn it, I want you to like this video. I want you to like this daily enlightenment, wherever it may be showing up, whether it's in the podcast or the video. I want you to share it with the people in your life. And please leave me a comment. You can subscribe to my channel. You can join us over in the Spiritual Hooligans Facebook group. Any of those things will work out just fine for you. I think that you and I should be more connected. Thank you again for tuning in to this daily enlightenment.